This leads me to one of my favorite discoveries, I guess. It's one of the most intriguing anyway. And it's a paradox that I have discovered working with guys to help them become more successful with women in dating. And it is that sometimes intelligence can be your enemy. I tend to, I think, kind of like a magnet for smart, technically oriented guys who want to learn how to be more successful with women in dating. I tend to find a lot of really intelligent guys who are just trying to figure this out. And I started to see a pattern, which was I would say, okay, well, do you know anybody that's good with women? And they'd say, yeah, or whatever. And I say, why don't you hang out with them? I just can't stand to hang out with that guy or whatever. And I got to the bottom of it, and I realized that intelligent guys sometimes can't stand the idea of learning from someone that's less intelligent than them. Don't like it. It's painful when you have a natural gift like a high IQ to see people that are not as smart as you kicking your ass at something. Kind of a blow to the ego. I spent a bunch of time a few years back studying the stock market and trading and so forth. It's not something that I actually got into, but I read a lot of books about it. Read maybe a couple of dozen books because I was fascinated in just how it all worked. It's just another element of business and education that I wanted to get. And in one of the books that I read, one of the Market Wizards books by Jack Schwager, he talked about a guy named Trader Vic. And this is a guy that's made, probably hundreds of millions of dollars in his career on Wall Street trading. And what this guy did was he talked about how he hired a bunch of apprentices to become his assistants, and he was going to teach them his system and then, kind of multiply the fruit of his hands, multiply the work of his hands. So he hired a bunch of really smart guys, and he found that almost all of them, their training was I think he gave them $250,000. He said, here's your $250,000, trade with this money. If you lose it all, you're fired, and if you make some money, then we'll continue. I think that, only a couple of them actually succeeded, and then they left and went and started their own firm, so the whole thing was a complete waste for him. But what he found was something that turned out to be a priceless lesson to me. And that is that smart people don't perceive that they can be wrong. It's not their model of reality that they can be wrong. Because they're so used to being right. They've been highly intelligent. They've always been able to figure things out all their life. So the idea of maybe I'm wrong doesn't work for them. And if you're smart enough and maybe you have the right personality to go along with that, you might find yourself in a place in life where you're so smart and you like being right so much that you don't put yourself in situations where you could possibly be wrong. So you really lock that whole thing together to prevent any kind of attack on your ego or attack on you. No possibility. So when he gave all these smart guys $250,000, and he said, okay, go. The smart guys did all their research, and they reasoned through everything, and they crunched all of the data with their huge craniums, and they made their trading decisions. So they took the $250,000, and they made a commitment. They bought. And the stock market actually doesn't care whether you're smart or not. It doesn't care if you're right. In fact, if you buy into, Warren Buffett's another person that I really respect and like a lot. And he learned a concept from his mentor, Ben Graham, an idea called Mr. Market. And Mr. Market is a very emotional, very unstable person. And Mr. Market can be up one day and down another. There's no rhyme or reason for it. So what happened? They invest the $250,000, and the stock that they purchased goes down. Now, when you're a really smart person and you make a commitment with another person's money, you really believe you're right, what happens when it doesn't go the direction you thought it was going to go? What do you tell yourself and what do you say? You say, I'm right. I thought this one through. I'm smarter than everybody. I'm right. And in this fun little experiment, that results in you keep the stock you bought because you were right. And so then you keep watching it, and of course it keeps going down. And you, in your mind, keep being right, and you keep holding on to it. You'll notice, by the way, in life, when people start doing this, they start to convince themselves, in a lot of cases, they actually make themselves more right in their own minds as the evidence goes the other way. You ever seen that happen? And they're still right, and the stock's still dropping, and they're still right. And eventually, they're out of it. And what I would be interested to hear is, some interviews with these brilliant people to see what they thought after it was all over and after all the money was gone. Because I'll bet you that, I don't remember, when that book was actually done, but probably 10 or 20 years ago. I'll bet you that a lot of those people that lost all the money are still saying, but I was right.